Hey everybody, Jaquel Wimbush here on another episode of Back to the Basics of Health and Wellness Podcast. On today's show, I'll be talking to clinical social worker and therapist Corrine Rose-Parish. Let's get into it. I found that with depression, one of the most important things you can realize is that you're not alone. You're not the first to go through it. You're not going to be the last to go through it. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Daddy, it's time to start your podcast.
Today's episode of Back to the Basics of Health and Wellness Podcast is brought to you in part by Ladybug Natural Solutions. You need help? We got your back. Our mission is to offer all the necessary tools and information that will help improve the lives of all Americans through lifestyle change, which will enhance quality of life and overall well-being. With that being said, we are here to bring value to your life. Do you need a coach that's going to bring value to your life, who's going to listen carefully and understand what you are saying and give you some great direction? We'll call 201-888-4706 or go on over to www.ladybugnaturalsolutions.com today. Hey, Corrine, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Jaquel?
All is well. All is well. It is great to have you on the show today, as a lot of people are coming out of COVID and we are dealing with some stress, some anxiety, some depression, some grief. We're dealing with it all, and that's some of the things that I want to talk to you about on today's episode, because people got questions and you have the answers. So you are a clinical social worker / therapist, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I am a licensed clinical social worker as well as a certified therapeutic recreation specialist.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And what got you into becoming a therapist?
Well, initially, I was a recreation therapist, and one day I was facilitating a group with adolescents, and one of the kids brought up a subject matter that I didn't feel comfortable answering. And I remember leaving the group feeling like I was doing them a disservice by not being able to handle it. So I said, all right, I got to go back to school. And I went back to school and got my master's in social work.
Wow. Nice. So that's one of those questions of, like, have you ever had like a failure or something like that within business? Because we all do. We all have that moment where we like, ooh, you know, they hit me right there. Let me go back for some extra training. That was one of those times for you.
Absolutely. I remember I felt horrible.
Wow.
Because I'm like, this kid trusts me enough to ask me this and to like confided me, and I should have been able to be there for him in that way.
Okay. Nice. And you are located in New Jersey. What part of Jersey are you in? Is your business?
My office is in Montclair.
Okay. Nice. If you could give out that, not the address, but if someone wanted to get in contact with you, how can they schedule an appointment or just have a consultation with you?
They could either call me at 973-996-8099, or they could, I have a Psychology Today profile where they could go on there also and send me an email, or they can just email me directly at cparish@brtherapy.org.
Cool. Beautiful. And folks, I will have that in the show notes. In this day and time, what's the main reason someone is coming to see you at your office? Or I see you do also telehealth as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
So people don't even have to come in the office. They could just get you right on Zoom, or how would they do that? Is it Zoom? I don't want to.
I use the EHR. I use a Simple Practice, but it's basically the same thing.
Okay.
I would say due to the pandemic, before the pandemic, I was in person 100%. But once the pandemic hit, telehealth became a thing. And I mean, that was the only way we could have sessions. So I kind of had to adapt to that. So now I'm looking to do a hybrid form starting in the summertime, once people feel comfortable, because there's still some people that don't feel comfortable seeing people face to face, especially like in a small office,
Yes, absolutely.
So I would say throughout the pandemic, most of the people that have been like reaching out are people that have anxiety, depression. I think all of us had time to kind of sit home and just be in our own thoughts. And I've gotten a lot of calls of people that have just been thinking about their life and their past experiences. And they're like, I've been putting this off for so long. Let me deal with this now.
Nice.
So it's really been like a wide variety of things.
Okay. But for the most part, a lot of anxiety and depression going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and I
absolutely.
I guess that can deal with like social anxiety at this point because during the pandemic, everybody was stuck to their phones and checking out social media a lot, and just dealing with that. What is a way to combat, I guess, the social anxiety from social media? What are some tips and tricks that you use in your practice that can help someone navigate through that?
Well, I mean, I think, when we think about social media, we think about, wanting to be connected to people. We think, it's going to ease our stress and help with our anxiety and our depression and boost our self-worth. But on the flip side, it can really pose a serious risk to our mental and emotional health. Like on social media, we're able to communicate and stay up to date with our families and our friends. We can discover new sources of information. We can make new connections. But I think some of the negative aspects is, there's a lot of, especially with teenagers, you see them, FOMO, fear of missing out. Like, oh, I can't do this. Like, this person is doing this. Why can't I do it? There's a lot of body issues that have arisen from that. There's a lot of isolation, depression, and anxiety, just because people, I think they pick up their phone because, I mean, for the most part, we've been isolated. So there really wasn't much else to do but to pick up our phone. And people thought that it would help the depression and anxiety. But in fact, it kind of exacerbates it and it makes it worse. Like, they say a hug reduces depression and anxiety, but a lot of us, we didn't have that physical connection or that physical component of our relationships for quite a while. So it was easy to be self-absorbed into your phone and just kind of looking at other people's lives. And let's not even, then you have to throw in the racial unrest and seeing images of things that, were very triggering for a lot of people.
Yes. So
this past year and change has not been easy at all. So, I try to tell, some of my clients, like, put the phone down.
Yes.
Go outside. Open your window. Get some fresh air. Like, when you think about using your phone, try and do something else. Like, I have converted. I'm an avid, I want to say, I'm a color addict. I've converted a lot of people to start coloring because it's a mindful activity.
Yes.
It's relaxing. And it really just separates you from electronics. Our society today is like so driven by electronics. It's like, put it down.
Yep.
I try and have people like set a time limit. Okay, I'm not going to go on social media for this long. Like, there's apps out there now that you can download to see exactly how long you're using it. So you get an idea of your usage times. Because sometimes you can just get lost and then you look at the clock and you're like, I've been on my phone for 2 hours.
Yeah, that's deep. Number one, with that being said, it's like most of the stuff that we see on this social media is fake. And it's like we look at it and take it as face value, like, oh my God, this person is doing this person. And nobody want to just accept the fact, like nobody wants to put their broke stories out there. Nobody wants to put their
Right.
everybody's just making it and doing it and feeling good and
Right.
traveling. Like there's no bad stories on social media. It's all good. And like if it is a bad story, like you it's far and few between, and it's like it's just not real. It's like people like just be real. Be real with
You
yourselves.
bring up
Be
you
real.
bring up such a good point. Like one of my forms of self care is I like to bake.
Hmm.
So I make sure, and people are always like, "Oh my gosh, your food looks so good. You like your things they're so nice." But I make sure that when I bake things and they don't look right, I still post it. People laugh. They're like, "I can't believe it," and I'm like, "Everything is not perfect.
Yes.
Like that's not how the world works."
Yep.
Like, I had a family member laugh at me and she was like, "I cannot believe you posted that cake." And I'm like, "Why? It was a disaster. Things happen."
Absolutely.
Like, like everything isn't perfect. We don't have to portray like we live these perfect lives in, a house with like a white picket fence. No, things get messed up and you get up, you brush yourself off and you keep it moving.
Absolutely. Cars can crash through that picket fence, and then you have an open fence,
Yes.
and it's like, oh, I
Yes.
got to get it fixed tomorrow. No, you can wait until your insurance comes through
Yes.
for you.
Yes. Leave it broken.
Leave it
Just leave
broken. Yes, some
it.
things need to be broken for some a period of time to
Yes.
see the
Yes.
change and see the beauty in it. And people do not
Yes.
realize that these days. And
Yes.
getting to your point of coloring, painting as well. And I love the people, the owners that of these paint and sips or just paint
Mhm.
people who was bringing that creativity back. Even sculpting. My
Yes.
nephew right now, he's sculpting ashtrays into like different figures and things like that, and just being
Wow.
he just sits in his
That's
room
awesome.
and just gets to it with these figures of different types of ashtrays, and it's just using your imagination
Yes.
and bringing that through and not letting that get sucked away by all of the stuff that's going on in the world.
Mhm.
So I definitely want people to just be themselves, take a nice deep breath, people,
Yes.
and just say, you know what, things, things are not perfect. Life isn't perfect.
Yes.
We are here to fail. We are here to succeed, and we're here to do both. So make sure you do that. With your approach to
Mhm.
counseling someone or in therapy in a session, like what's your approach to someone that comes in? Are you more of directive or more guiding or both?
I usually have a speech that I give my clients. My adolescent speech is, "Listen, you keep it real with me. I am definitely going to keep it real with you. Like that's the only way this is going to work. We just have to be honest." Like with my adults, I try and tell everyone this is a judgment free zone.
Yes.
Like, I'm not here to judge you. You're not here like to paint this pretty picture. Like, we're human. We make mistakes. Like, you have no idea what my background is or what I've been through.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what I've done. Like, no one has the right to judge anyone.
Exactly.
But I just try and create a safe environment for people to come because it's not easy to talk about stuff. And when you think about people coming to therapy, a lot of times they're coming and they're talking about stuff that dates back years that they haven't talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard talking about things that you kind of just put on the shelf. Absolutely. And ignored. But when it comes to my clients, I'm direct. I use humor a lot because I think laughter is good for the soul. Mm-hmm. But my clients know, like, I'm not going to paint a picture or not keep it real with you because if I do, I'm not doing my job.
Absolutely.
So if you're coming to me for me to kind of, of course I use empathy, and I'm patient, etc. with my clients. But at the same time, like, I'm not going to not keep it real with my clients mm-hmm. to spare someone's feelings, so to speak. I know that sounds kind of harsh, but it's kind of like you're not coming to me for us to just sit and talk about rainbows and unicorns,
Trying to get to that root cause, and with that, and
Yeah,
getting to that root cause, you got to ask some dicey questions and be, yeah,
exactly.
like that's how I am with a wellness coach. People, I gotta put the iron fist on sometimes, because
Yeah.
you're paying for a service, and I have to give you the results, and I have to show you results, because that's my job. And if I have to put the iron fist on to get to that root cause of why you're doing something, then that's what I have to do. I
Hmm.
still got love for you, but we're
Yeah.
gonna get this work.
Yeah.
Gonna get this
And
work.
and yeah, and you have clients sometimes who they work at a slower pace than others, and
Hmm.
I'm all for that.
Yes.
Like, you learn in grad school, you meet the client where they're at. Like, if they're not ready to get to that next subject or go to that next step, then you meet them where they're at, and you're patient. And at the same time, I just tell my clients, if you expect to come here and I'm going to lie to you or not keep it real, you found this. I'm not the right therapist for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. When it comes to childhood and dealing with kids, ADHD comes up a lot.
Mm,
You hear a lot of people talk about it in the school systems and
hmm.
things of that nature. What is your view on ADHD? Is it something that can be curable, or for me, I look at it through food and some other things. But as a therapist, what's your feedback on it, on ADHD, and how do you deal with it?
I have and deal with a few clients who have ADHD, and my thing is
Hmm.
structure, repetition, being consistent. Consistency is key.
Hmm.
Like, consistency is key for a lot of things, but I do think consistency is key, and really just being patient with especially with adolescents with ADHD.
Hmm.
I really think that, of course, some people are like, "Oh, it's not real," and I'm like, "No, it's definitely real."
Yes.
I do think it has changed over the years. Dating myself, if I go back to when I grew up, I can think of maybe one person who was diagnosed with it and was on medication.
Hmm.
But, I think, and this is just my personal opinion, I do think medications are thrown out there rather quickly these days.
Yeah.
When I think, we can pause a little bit and try some behavior mod
Hmm.
instead of just shoving pills down kids' throats. But, I have my own views on that.
Okay.
But I do think behavior mod, consistency, reward systems, like really teaching new interventions, practicing them, coming back, evaluating. Did it work? No, it didn't. Okay, let's try something else. Let's figure out why it didn't work. Well, let's adapt it this way. Let's try this thing. And I really think being in contact overall, like, when I have kids, when I've clients with ADHD, I'm in contact with their teacher, with their family. It needs to be across, like, we all need to be on the same page in order for this to work.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, because coming up, I was the kid in the classroom that they labeled with ADHD, and they
Hmm.
got my mother to put me on the Ritalin, and I was a vegetable
Mm,
in class, and
yes,
I felt that for years, and then at one point I just stopped taking the medicine, because my thing was, I wasn't a classroom learner. I was a more hands-on learner.
hmm,
And there are different learning styles for kids. Like,
yes,
everybody is different. It's just like, I can't. The bio individuality, what may be good for you may not be good for the next person. And
hmm,
these school systems, they don't understand that, or they don't bring that into the school, into the curriculum, where they say, you know what, maybe Bobby is more good hands on, and Jermaine is good with just sitting in a desk all day,
right,
and it's different. And just coming up for myself, it was just like, when I did things hands on, when I learned, how to do plumbing, when I learned how to do electrical work and things like that, it just came to me quickly. And then, as I was getting older, all my friends was like, wow, like how do you know all of this stuff? And I'm like, I'm a hands-on learner,
Yeah.
I'm the hands-on person. And now I can, they call me the jack of all trades, so
Yeah.
and I know how to do a lot of different things. So, for any school teachers out there that's listening, just pay attention to your kids, man.
Yes.
Don't put them all in a box, and
Yes.
yeah. Just don't put them in
Oh,
that box and say, hey, we're all doing this, so you have to do it. No, because what country is it? I think it's Switzerland where they have the free learning. There's a couple of countries that do free learning where they have kids go outside and learn, and they do well doing that. And so I
mhm.
think that's just a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing.
You know what I see often? I see a lot of teachers that are stuck in their ways. This is my
Mm-hmm.
classroom, my rules. This is how it's going to be.
Yep.
And it's like, you have to remember that this is your classroom, but all of these kids are individuals. Like,
Individuals. Yes.
you want to be in control. What I usually do a lot with teachers is, you want to be in control, give them choices.
Mm-hmm.
You're providing the choices.
Absolutely.
They're not coming up with the choices. You say, Bobby, you either sit down and do the assignment, or go take a break in the timeout corner.
Mm-hmm.
You're giving them a choice. The
Mm-hmm.
child has to choose. So, but they're still the choices that you're giving them. You still have control.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to fit in this box. It doesn't work that way.
Absolutely. Yeah, my son, he went to Montessori school, and I loved it when, he had to stop at a certain age because it didn't, it was like far and few between in New Jersey, but, they were hard to get to. And,
Hmm.
just him in that school, in that curriculum, it was
Hmm.
awesome because it was like, okay, you can go over there and you can do this. And then everything is mostly hands on. And then they have older kids helping out the younger kids
Mm.
do their assignments. So it was just a beautiful situation. It was an expensive situation, but it was beautiful at the same time. And I wish
Yeah.
it was more of that across the
Yeah.
board instead of, having our kids, just brainwashed into going into corporate America, because that's what I see how it is.
Hmm.
It's you
Hmm.
go from the structure of a classroom into the structure
Hmm.
of corporate America, and it's like it's feeding you into that system. So
Yeah.
and that behavioral system as well. So, um, quick question: as a therapist, do you seek therapy?
Yeah.
Go.
I think everyone should seek therapy. Especially, I would say, especially during the pandemic, I would say every therapist who worked during the pandemic should be in therapy.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Like, you have to think about, like, okay, we're listening to, depending on your caseload, could be up to 30 people talk to you about their issues, whether it be heavy or not. And then you have your own life to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot to take on.
Yes.
Like, that's a lot to, like, unpack. You have to decompress from listening to your clients all day because it's heavy. You're sitting, you're processing, you're attentive. It's not easy. I think some people think you're just listening to people talk. Okay, you come and try it.
Exactly.
It's not that easy.
Mm-hmm.
you know? So absolutely. And I would recommend that everyone, whether you're a therapist or not, seek therapy. And I think the stigma of, well, how are you helping people if you're in therapy yourself? Well, helping myself so I can help people.
Absolutely.
Like, if I'm no good for me, I'm no good for anybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think that stigma of you have to be quote unquote crazy or what's wrong with you to go to therapy is just so outdated.
Yep.
It's like, come on, what year are we in right now?
Yeah. Yeah. And I see that as the black male stigma
Yeah.
in society, where black men are scared they're scared to go see a therapist because of what their peers might say. Number one, it's
Mm-hmm.
confidential. And that's your
Mm-hmm.
business. That's none
Yes.
of your friends' business. That's your business. You don't have to make an
Yes.
announcement to say, "Hey guys, I'm going to a therapist today. Judge me, judge me, judge me." You don't have to do
Right.
that. It's totally confidential. Like I have a
Right.
coach. I seek therapy. I came to you for therapy to seek therapy.
Mm-hmm.
That was our initial conversation, was getting to know each other, and then I'm like, hey, you got any room on the books? I need
Yeah.
some therapy. So how, like, what are some things that you could say to black men that's listening to this program right now to say, get in there, make the phone call. If you have insurance, get on the back of that card and call the number. What is some advice you can give these guys, my
Whenever,
brothers?
whenever, whenever I speak to a black man and they're like, nah, I can't. And I'm like, my thing is, we all need someone to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter how you grew up. We all need someone to talk to that's unbiased, that has no stake in anything that we have going on, that can just speak from a perspective of not knowing you and just hearing what you have to say. Like, we all need someone to talk to. It's healthy to have that one unbiased person that you can go to for 45 to 60 minutes a week, whether it's once a week, twice a week, and talk to. Like, I think people think, I can't go to therapy, because I really think that stigma, and I've heard it so much, is for quote unquote crazy people. It is not. Like, it is not. I think that stigma from decades ago with people, in insane asylums and in straitjackets, it's not that anymore. I think just the fact that we're black living in America right now says we need to be in therapy, because
Talk
we
it,
are
talk
all
it.
dealing with a lot right now. Every time we turn on the TV, it's something new. Every time we turn on the TV, it's like we're re-traumatizing ourselves.
Absolutely.
Like, it's just, in my mind, and I don't know if it's because I'm in the profession and I see how it can help. I just believe that we should all be in therapy, especially this past year. The images that we have had to endure,
Mm-hmm.
whether we purposefully watched it or whether we turn on the TV and the news is on, or whether we're scrolling through our social media feeds and we just happen to see something. I could see a lot of us just having PTSD from that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just coming from the neighborhood some of us come from, and seeing
Yeah.
things, I've witnessed some, crazy things coming up, in front of my eyes, and and then it's like, do you live with this, or you just go seek therapy? And then, I've done Reiki, I've done therapy, I've done everything just to bring up all of that trauma and get rid of it so I can live a nice, fruitful life, to not have to be traumatized by the things that I've gone through and I've seen with my own eyes. I heard this guy actually yesterday. He was like, like with DMX death, that was traumatizing for a lot of people. But his thing was, we mourned DMX, but we didn't mourn Earl, the person. We mourn the
artist.
avatar, the artist. We didn't mourn the actual person, and that was huge. I felt chills, like, that was deep.
You just gave me chills.
I was
Yeah.
like, wow, that was deep, because he was like, Earl was going through the depression. Earl was going through the drug addiction, but everybody was talking about DMX the whole time. And I was like, that is deep. Yeah. So black men, man, like we got to get it together, because, we have children that we are bringing up. We have teenage boys, girls, and things that we need to give this information to, and not put your opinion or your biased opinion on them, because then you're setting up the next generation to not getting help.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think some of the things that us as black and brown people have been through can be so normalized that it's like, well, that's like a part of life. No, it's not. No, you should not have had to endure that. That was not okay. that is not a rite of passage. That is not something that is supposed to happen to you.
Absolutely.
I think it's like so normalized that it's like kind of just brushed off, and it's like, no, that's not okay.
Yes. What's whew, it's a little deep there. Yeah, especially with the men, man. Even with girls too. Girls, they're going through a lot. They're going through being molested. They're being touched, and a lot of stuff. I don't know if you've seen with the whole thing with Monique and telling these girls to. The bonnets and the dress
Lord
up,
have
and
mercy.
yes, and I work in the airport, and I'm in the airport almost every day. I travel a lot, and I see it, and it's like, ladies, come on, ladies. Like, we're not trying to take nothing from you, but you could wear a head wrap. You could wear like a scarf, like a nice scarf, not but it's like you see these ladies with the furry slippers on and the blankets, and she's not telling no lies because I see it. And the men that I work with, we see it. And we're like, why are they walking around looking like this? And it's like, I don't know where it came from. Like, where do you know where that came from?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know where it came from. No idea.
Yeah.
I know I've never done it.
Yeah.
I don't know where it came from.
Yeah, we have to start, like when back in the day, like when I used to go to the airport, people used to dress up, and it was a thing to go to the airport and look professional and look like you're about something. Now it's like people go to the airport and it's just like, whatever. And it's like, and is it traumatizing to other people around them? Are they traumatized themselves? Or are they just being followers at the end of the day? Are they just following the trend? Is it a trend?
Is this the new fashion?
Yeah, is it a new fashion statement? I don't think that it shouldn't be.
I don't know.
Yeah, but it's wild. But ladies, they need to get in there too and seek therapy. Do you see a lot of women that are hesitant with getting therapy as well? Or young ladies, I'll say?
I really think it depends on the person.
Okay.
Like, because I've had people come to therapy and say, they're ready to work on things that they've avoided for a while. And then when we start, they say, you know what, I'm going to take a break for a while. And I tell people that is okay. You can feel like, you know what, I need to go to therapy and get resolve some of these things. But then when you get into it, you realize you're not ready. I always tell them that's okay. Look, my door is open. Take the break that you need, and when you're ready, come back. Because I don't keep people, especially kids, in therapy if they're not ready to work or if they're done with treatment. Okay. Because I feel like it just puts a stain on it if they need it later in life.
Oh, cool.
I've had kids that are like, I don't want to stop. And I'm like, but you've reached your treatment goals. And it's like, we talk about the progress, and it's like, there's a lot of people. And I think it has happened more. Now that I'm thinking about it, has happened more with women who come to therapy, they start, and then throughout the process, they realize they're not ready. And I validate that. It's okay if you're not ready. Therapy's not easy. There's going to be, I tell my clients, there's going to be days where you leave here happy. There's going to be days when you leave here crying and you wonder, why am I even doing this? Yeah. There's going to be days when you leave here and you're pissed at me, but that's okay. We can talk about it in the next session, maybe because I gave you too much truth. I don't know. But therapy is a process, and I'm willing to go through it with you together. Just keep the lines of communication open and let's talk about it. Whatever it is you're feeling, let's talk about it. Beautiful. But you have to validate, their feelings of wanting or not being ready to touch some of those things are valid, and you have to validate that.
Good stuff. How do you set up counseling goals for people? Do you have like a goals list for individuals?
It depends on the individual, but it's definitely collaborative.
Okay.
Like, I usually ask my clients, what do you want to get out of therapy? Because it's not what I want. It's not what I think. It's what do they want to get out of it?
Nice.
If they don't want to change certain things about themselves, okay, that's not on me to decide that you need to change it. If you want to change it, then let's work on you changing it. Let's figure out how I can help you figure out a better way to go about things.
Beautiful.
But it's definitely collaborative.
Nice. And what is success for you when you're dealing with a client or a patient? Oh, yeah, client.
I think success for me is seeing them be happy with their success. That's success for me. I feel ecstatic. Like it feels, I can't describe the feeling of when you're terminating with a client, and whenever I terminate, I go back. I'm like, let's talk about from beginning to now. You tell me what has changed, what's different, how do you feel? And when they go back and can sit there and say, in the beginning, you know, I was this and I didn't do this, and you confronted me and I thought about it. And like when they can sit there and say skills that they've learned and how they can deal with whatever it is that they're dealing with, whether it's anger, their depression, anxiety, and you see them like beaming with confidence, like they got this on their own, that's success for me.
Nice. Beautiful. I would love for this conversation to go on and on and on, because the issues you deal with and you take care of is a list. And I would love to bring you back on so we can just go through this list one by one and just have some short episodes to follow this up.
Sure.
This has been excellent.
I'd be honored.
This is excellent, beautiful, because you deal with people with bipolar, just depression, infidelity, grief, juvenile offenders, life transitions. It's just self-esteem, it just goes on and on, folks. And I got to have Miss Corrine back on so we can just deep dive into each one of these issues one by one, so you guys can get a full understanding of how she gets down in her office. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you as well. I appreciate you coming on. If you could give out your telephone number one more time for the people.
Yes. My phone number is 973-996-8099.
All right, guys, I'll definitely have that in the show notes. Corrine, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Jaquel.
You're welcome. Hey, guys, I would like to thank you all for listening in on today's podcast with myself and Corrine. It was a very, very good time. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the information that she gave out about our mental health. And I want you guys to take that seriously and go out there if you need to talk to somebody and need to get some therapy. Just make sure if you have insurance, call the number on the back of your insurance card and get that, get that squared away and set up, as it is so important these days to just talk to someone and talk about your issues, your problems, so you can get some solutions. Okay. If you like the podcast, please like, share, and subscribe to it. If you would like to hear something different in the future, email me at jaquel@ladybugnaturalsolutions.com. And I look forward to speaking with you guys again next week. All right. So enjoy, be well, and continue to make a lifestyle change that lasts. Have a great one, everyone.